Hi friends. So I had to take the last live stream and throw it away because I had accidentally said somebody's name. But for this one, I'm just going to say his name because this was years ago. We haven't talked in like 4 years. So I can't imagine this ever getting back to him. And if it does, hi, Jonathan. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about why I will never have another pet. And I know this is going to be hard for me to talk about in some spots. So if I start tearing up, it's just because I love my little fur baby so very much. So for those of you who don't know, I have a 6.5-year-old guinea pig. Her name is Ishka, and I absolutely adore her. She is my favorite living creature of pretty much my entire existence. And I got her around April 12th of 2012. And the reason I say around April 12th is because I don't actually know, I don't remember the exact day, but I know that the first picture that I posted to Facebook of Ishka was on April 12th. So I consider that her birthday. It might have actually been April 10th, but I don't have her adoption papers. Her dad has her adoption papers. So if this ever does get back to Jonathan, I want our kids' papers. Please and thank you. That'd be just perfect. So how I ended up with Ishka, y'all might as well get a snack and strap in because my stories are just over the top detailed and way too long for their own good. So Christmas of 2011, Jonathan and I got engaged, and about a month later, I kind of expressed to him that I was feeling very lonely. I was feeling very isolated at the house because we were living together, and we lived within walking distance of my full-time daycare job. And Jonathan had like a normal, 9 to 5, he goes and does whatever kind of job. His job's not relevant to the situation. So a lot of times I would wake up and be alone because he was already at work. And then I would get ready for work and I would go to work and I would come home to an empty house because he was still at work. And sometimes he would pick me up from work and we would go to a baseball game because his goal in life at the time was to be a major league umpire, minor league at the bare minimum. So we were always going to baseball games, and I kind of felt like his dream was kind of taking the spotlight from planning our wedding. It was taking away from us spending time together, and our schedules never really lined up that well. So it was hard for us to find time to do things together that, took more than like 30 minutes. We would try to have dinner together as often as we could, which usually meant me cooking some super awful, gross, gluten-free mess and him pretending to like it. This was around the time that I discovered that I have a gluten intolerance, and so that's why the gross gluten-free food. And back in 2012, there wasn't a whole lot of anything out there for people who had gluten intolerances or celiac disease. So it was really, really hard to find things that worked for that. So I was doing a bunch of research, trying to find things that we could eat together, activities we could do at home together, like just trying to find ways to, interact with this person as much as I could because we are getting married. We're planning a life together. We are, completely missing each other though because schedules. So I expressed to him about a month after our engagement that I was feeling really lonely, and he started kind of asking what I wanted for Valentine's Day / my birthday. So my birthday is 1 week after Valentine's Day, It's on the 23rd. And my, honestly, having a birthday in February is a hot mess because either my birthday gets overlooked or people try to regift me like clearance candy from Valentine's Day, or they try to lump Valentine's Day together with my birthday, which I don't appreciate. It's very similar to my friends that have birthdays near Christmas, where they kind of try to lump everything together. These are on separate days, and even if they were on the same day, please just acknowledge them as separate events. Like, my birthday is not on Valentine's Day. Please stop trying to give me discount Valentine's candy for my birthday. It's not cool. So I had told him, I'm feeling some type of way, and he had told me that his family has always had guinea pigs for like as long as he can remember. Every few years they would have a guinea pig, and then that one would die, and like a year later they would get another guinea pig, and he'd show me pictures, and they were just the cutest little things. And I was like, I kind of want one. Like, I'm not a rodent person. Like, one of my siblings had a dwarf hamster when we were kids, and it was honestly the creepiest thing. And then we got a second one, but we didn't know the second one was a boy and the first one was a girl, so we ended up with like 15 hamster babies. Honestly, hamsters, mice, rats, they all freak me out. Rabbits kind of freak me out because they're so big, but guinea pigs are like friggin' perfect. They're so cute. So I was kind of on the fence about getting a guinea pig just because I felt like I didn't want to leave this poor little sweet cupcake at home by themselves all day while we're at work. And I didn't want to, get attached to something and then like the what ifs. So I was like, maybe later, like in the spring or something, or in the summer, we'll look into it. And he was okay with that because he actually wanted a dog. And I was like, but no, I'd rather have a cat. And so we couldn't like agree on a pet. But for Valentine's Day, he went out and got me a betta fish. I am so not into fish, but I appreciated the gesture, and I was really excited to have a fish who I named Atarax, which was one of the medications that I had been on in the past. And I thought it was a cool name for a betta fish. Like, it just sounds like, like a hard warrior beta fish kind of name. I don't know where I was going with all that, but at the time, that was my thought process. So I was super excited to have this betta fish. And one of the things that I was the most nervous about was changing the water. And I was already feeling kind of sad because, yeah, I liked having Atarax, who I later had to rename Mr. Bubbles because Jonathan's mom asked how I came up with the name Atarax. And I was like, it's a medication I've been on. And she was like, that doesn't seem like a normal thing to do. So I was like, okay, fine. His name is Mr. Bubbles then, like, because that's the least threatening thing I could possibly think of. So one day when I was changing the fish water, he plooped to the bottom and then plooped to the top. And then he didn't move. And I was like, oh, this fish is not alive anymore. And I freaked out, and I started like yelling for Jonathan, and I was like crying, and I was a mess, and I was like, he's dead. Like, the fish, I killed him. He's dead. And I was just like, freaking out, couldn't handle it. So I had Jonathan take care of it. And I cried for at least 2 hours because I was just like, holy crap, I killed my fish. There's no way I can get a cat or a dog or a guinea pig or anything. Like, I can't even take care of a fish. Like, and also, why are fish like the number one pet that people want to get their small children to teach them responsibility? They want to get them like a goldfish. like that old cliche of let's get little Johnny a goldfish. Like, no, because honestly, having Mr. Bubbles, Atarax, whatever you want to call him, having him like just die in front of me was heartbreaking. Honestly, it was. And I felt like I had to take the thing that Jonathan got me for Valentine's Day / my birthday and flush his gift down the toilet, or Jonathan had to flush his gift down the toilet. So I already felt like crap because I felt like I had killed this poor animal. Then I double felt like crap because we had to do fish funeral. And I told him, I was like, I don't care what you do with his stuff, but I don't want to see it. Like, just put it somewhere. Just don't let me find it. And he put it on like this top shelf in the laundry room, and I eventually found it. And then I had like a complete flipping breakdown because I was like, Mr. Bubbles, he's dead. Like, it was a mess. So a couple months go by, and he could tell that I was not okay, very much not okay. And it wasn't just the fact that I was still mourning the loss of my sweet Mr. Bubbles. It was also the fact that spring season was starting up and he was going to more games, and I was very much alone and sad about things and needed like some kind of companion. And his parents and some of his siblings, he had 3 brothers. One went to school in Florida and the other 2 lived in Kentucky with his parents. So sometimes they would like come visit, which was nice. But first of all, I'll be honest, I did not get along with his parents all that well. Specifically his dad. I feel like his dad really didn't like me, but I felt like his mom like super didn't like me. I got along with his younger brother okay, like his youngest brother, but his middle 2 brothers, like, we didn't talk. We didn't hang out. We did not interact, like nothing. So it was nice when his family came to visit because there was life in the house and, you know, there were things going on and, you know, we were staying busy. But when it was just me and him, it was like, this is not what I want to be doing a year from now. Like, I'm just sad about things and this is not cool. So fast forward a couple of months and we really started significantly talking about getting a guinea pig. And I started looking up different names that I liked. He had one that was named Pumpkin because it was like bright orange. And I was like, oh, a food name. Clever. So I was thinking I have a couple of names that I'm really into, but I started doing research on my own names. I've always loved looking up like name definitions and stuff like that. So I started looking up Jessica and I started looking up Lynn. And the earliest form of Jessica was actually in the Bible in Genesis, I believe, but it was a very primitive form of the name, which was Iskah, Ischah. And Iskah just hits the ear wrong. Like, say it with me now. Iskah. It's freaking weird, right? So I moved a couple letters around, changed the C to a K, and came up with Ishka. And a lot of people ask me if it's like a Russian name or a German name, and I'm like, no, it's my name. Like, bye. So we came up with Ishka, and then when we went to the pet store, they had these little pigloos, which are little guinea pig like hideouts that are shaped like igloos. And all the guinea pigs, it was in a really big opening. All the guinea pigs were under these pigloos, and then they flipped them up, and all the guinea pigs scattered. And there was a group over here and a group over here, and there was one in the middle. And she looked like she just did not care. Like, she just didn't want to be here. Like, she wasn't part of either of the groups. She, you know, couldn't give 2 flips in one direction. And I was like, I want that one right there, that one in the middle. Like, that is a baby Ishka. So we got Ishka. We filled out the paperwork. I still want the paperwork. And we filled it out, and we got her home, and we got her all set up. And I instantly fell in love with her. Jonathan was not totally sold on the name Ishka yet. So I was like, okay, well, it's either going to be Ishka or it's going to be Cadbury, because when she was a baby, she looked like Cadbury Bunny. And I love myself a good pun. So he was like, Cadbury is really weird, so we're just going to call her Ishka. And I was like, I know we're going to call her Ishka because that's literally the only thing I'm going to call her, regardless of what name you come up with. This kid's name is Ishka. So we got her, and she has literally been by my side ever since. When Jonathan and I broke up that November, we had a really hard time trying to figure out what do we do with her, because he bought her for me. So it kind of became like a weird gray area where we weren't really sure. And his mom was like, we'll take care of her. You can absolutely trust her with us. And I was like, no, because if I do that, I'll never be able to see her again. Like, we're going to lose contact. I'm never going to have her again. And I became so attached to this sweet little cinnamon roll that I couldn't send her from Florida to Kentucky because I knew I'd never see her again. And to my knowledge, the last time Jonathan and I talked, his parents lived in Wisconsin now. Then, I don't know, maybe they do, I'm not sure. But they moved like way up north. And that to me was even more indication that if I had given her to his parents, I was never going to see her again. And I couldn't let that happen, because how do I know they're going to take good care of her, and what happens when she passes, I'm never going to know. And that was really hard for me, because she wasn't going to be with me and she wasn't going to be with him. She was going to be with a totally separate person, and we were putting the burden on them, and I couldn't do that. So I begged and pleaded for the 2 weeks that we had to figure everything out, because he broke up with me and said I had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. And his parents got me a plane ticket for exactly 2 weeks later to go from Florida to Colorado, which was how I ended up here the first time. And that's only because my parents had already moved out here like a few months before. So I begged his mom. Like, I was crying on Skype, begging her, please just find an airline that will let me take her with me. Like, I have to have her with me. And it took a little doing, but we found out that Frontier Airlines lets you fly with guinea pigs in a carrier on board with you. So she was at my feet the entire time, and it was my first flight, and I was terrified, and I was so happy that I was able to have her with me for that. And she has been with me ever since then. So from Colorado to Alaska, she came with me to Alaska. She was with me when I drove through Canada. She was with me in my car accident. She was with me when we were in Florida. She was with me in Texas and Arkansas. She was with me in North Carolina, and she's with me now in Colorado again. This guinea pig has traveled more than my parents have. And I know that she's getting older, and I know that I'm not going to have her forever. And guinea pigs don't really live as long as cats or dogs. So the fact that she's 6.5 is kind of a big deal. About a month or two ago, my friend's cat got really, really sick just out of nowhere. She got super, super sick. And we took her to the vet, and they ran some tests, and they said she basically has this incurable fluid in her stomach cavity, and the most humane thing that you can do for this cat is to put her down. And so I stayed with my friend and her cat while they put her cat to sleep. And it was so incredibly hard when that vet looked at us and was like, I'm sorry, but Bagheera has died. And I just remember thinking, if it's this hard to watch somebody else's animal pass away, I am terrified of what's going to happen when Ishka dies. I don't know how I'm going to handle it, and I'm so scared every day that it's going to happen, and I'm not going to know how to handle it. I don't handle death very well. I really don't. And so I know that it's going to be the hardest day of my life because I am so attached to her. Like, I've had her since I was 21. I'm now 28. And it's very, very hard for me to imagine life without her because I've basically grown up with her. She's been with me through all of my travels and all of my struggles, and she's been the one constant throughout my 20s. And I don't know. She's my best little friend, and I absolutely love this. I've noticed lately that she doesn't make noise like she used to. Like, after we moved from Florida to Colorado, she stopped making as much noise as she used to. Like, she used to, when she would hear Jonathan's keys, when he would come home, she would make her little squeaks and she would get so excited because she knew that she was going to get lettuce, and that's like her favorite thing in the world. When we moved, she stopped making those noises, and that by itself was hard. And lately there's been so many recalls on so many different kinds of produce. I can't in good conscience feed that to her because I don't want her to get sick. And I noticed that she's drinking a lot more water, and she's eating just fine. She's moving around just fine, but she's always been a chunky butt. And lately she's been really thin, not to the point where you can like see her bones through her skin, but when you pet her, you can like feel like her spine and her hips and everything. And it freaks me out so much because I know she's eating. I know she's eating because I fill her food up every other day, like completely full to the top. And then over time, like it goes down. So she's obviously eating, but it's like, every vet that I've taken her to has always said, like, she's in such good condition. Like, most guinea pigs aren't this chunky, but we love seeing them healthier. Most guinea pigs, the pads on their feet don't look as good as hers do. And I have absolutely spoiled this pig so rotten over the last 6.5 years. So it's really hard for me to imagine the day when I don't have her anymore and when I have to start doing everything 100% by myself. Like, won't even have her to keep me company. And it's like, I will never have another pet after her. There's nothing in this world that can fill the void that she's going to leave behind. And I know that it is possible for some people to have pets and to find, pet happiness after a loss. Like, my friend got another cat, and, her family absolutely adores this new cat. My dad had to put our dog down when I was 16 in a very not appropriate for YouTube, may traumatize some people kind of way. But we lost our dog when I was 16, and about a year later, we got another dog who somehow is still alive. And my dad absolutely loves this dog, like, absolutely loves this dog. And Angie has been there with my dad through all of his cancer struggles, through all of his chemo, through his remission, everything. This dog has not left his side, like, at all. And she's so protective of my dad. And I know that while Angie will never replace Simba, our old dog, it filled somewhat of that void that my dad had from Simba's death. I really don't think anything in this world will ever, ever fill the gap that Ishka's going to leave behind. And I absolutely love this little chunk butt so much. I'm actually going to go get her because I've never shown her to you guys before. So you guys have never even met her. So give me just a second. I'm going to go get her. So this is my Chunky. This is my baby. And I absolutely love her. She hates being picked up, which is even better. But yeah, this is my little chunk butt Ishka. Yeah. Hi. She has never liked being picked up. She has never liked me specifically. She has only liked her dad and my dad. But that's my baby. And I know it bothers some people when they hear people talk about pets as if the pet was a child or something like that. But I also think it's important to acknowledge that not everybody is capable of having children. And that means sometimes people adopt pets as children because taking care of an actual child is expensive and difficult and stressful. And some people don't want children. They want pets instead. And pets are, they're a big responsibility too, but you also don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. to get your pet ready for school. You don't have to worry about, clothing your pet. They're growing out of things too quickly and all these things. And so even though I know some people are bothered by hearing somebody say, oh, this pet is my child, Ishka really is like a child to me because I can't have kids. So it's really important for me to have her as long as I can. And I know that she's not my child and she's not a replacement for a human being. But to me, in my mind, she's almost equal to having a child. So that's why she's so important to me. And that's why I really don't think I could ever fill the gap after losing her, because it's going to hurt me so, so deeply that I really don't know if I'm going to be okay after it. And that's really hard to acknowledge because every death that I have experienced has impacted my life in such a major way that it's been hard, especially as of late. It's been really hard for me to bounce back from experiencing a loss. So I don't know, you guys. I really don't know if I'm going to be okay after I don't have her anymore. But I have, pictures and videos and stuff like that, which is really important to me. I feel like we take pictures and we take videos of the things that we're afraid to lose because we want to have those memories and we want to relive those moments. And so I have taken many, many photos of Ishka. I've taken many videos of Ishka, and I plan to get a tattoo of her name with her little paw print at some point in the future. I need to get this color wheel. I need to get this redone like ASAP because the ink pulled so horribly. Just because I don't know. I feel like the older I've gotten, the more tattoos and piercings just like reject. Like I had my belly button done in February and it just rejected and it was awful. And I just have like the scars from entry and exit, but I don't have my belly button pierced anymore because it rejected. So I'm scared to get another tattoo, but I think that's kind of the risk that you take when you get a tattoo is you don't know if it's going to stick or not. And especially for me, because my body is such a catastrophe that when I try to do things, the opposite happens. So that was something that was really heavily discussed when I had all these problems with my biopsy was that as I get older, my body may start rejecting things in a more extreme fashion. So it could become dangerous for me to get tattoos. But still gonna do it. If I'm meant to die from a tattoo, I'm meant to die from a tattoo. Like, you know, it's fine. But yeah, I do really want to get a little Ishka tattoo. I think I'm saving this wrist for Ishka because I got my color wheel on this one. So I think I'm going to put her name here. Or I would I'm getting a little crescent moon right under my collarbone. I think it'd be kind of tacky to have her name on my, like right over my heart. I think that'd be kind of tacky. So I might get it here or I might get it above my collarbone, like up here where I have this weird little mole. But I might get it like up here or something. I don't know. I'll figure that out. That's like way in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and share some thoughts about pets and about my experience with pets and how I ended up with such a sweet little cinnamon roll for a baby. And yeah, if this video did ever get back to Jonathan, yeah, I don't have any ill will towards him. I wouldn't necessarily want to speak to him face to face, but I would just let him know, like, she's doing good. I would really like her adoption papers because he doesn't even have her. The last place I saw them was in the kitchen pantry on the bottom shelf. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he wants anything to do with her. I don't think he thinks about her at all. I don't think he even necessarily remembers her, to be honest. But that's kind of like, if there is one thing that I wanted more than anything in communicating with Jonathan, like if I had one chance to talk to him again, I would say, you know, hope you're doing good. Hope you're living your life. I don't know what he's doing or anything like that, but I hope that he's made it in his, you know, chosen career, whatever that is, if it's baseball or whatever. I hope that he is, you know, happy with the choices that he's made and successful in the path that he's chosen. I would want him to know that Ishka she's doing fine. She actually didn't even get hurt in the car accident, so there was that. And yeah, I want her adoption papers. That's the only thing that I would want from him. I wouldn't even want a conversation, to be honest, because I think it would just open up too many old wounds and it would just cause more hurt than help anything. And even if we had the chance to have like an actual sit down conversation, the only thing that I would want to know from him that he is the only person that can answer is why did we break up? Because he never told me. He just came home from a baseball game one day and said, we're breaking up and you have 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. And to me, that is so hurtful and so mean is the only word that I have. It's just so mean to spend a year with somebody, be engaged to them, tell them that you love them over and over again, and then take all their hopes and dreams of this future that you guys are talking about and building together and just punch them in the face with them, like, and then set everything on fire. That would be the only thing that I would want to know. But even then, I've just come to terms with the fact that there's some things in life that I'm never going to know, and why Jonathan and I broke up is one of them. And I'm not saying it doesn't bother me. I'm not saying that I wouldn't still want to know, but I do think it's important to acknowledge that there is a 99.9% chance I will never know. And that's something that I just have to get over, essentially. But yeah, I am gonna go. I don't know what possessed me to start doing these live streams and share really close personal stories and information. Maybe it's like a way of verbal journaling. Maybe it's a way of healing something. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm thankful for every person who watches these stupid videos, because honestly, I don't know why you do, to be totally honest. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.